I've got the wonderful, wonderful pleasure of welcoming Elizabeth Jenkins to our conference this afternoon, although it's pretty early in the morning in Hawaii, I think. So, although we're nicely, comfortably well into the afternoon here. So yes, I'm really, really, really delighted to welcome Elizabeth here. And when I asked her if she wanted to be part of the conference, I said to her, would she just let me know, give me a bit of a introduction, what I can say. And what made me smile more than anything else was the very first thing on her list was mum. She's a mum. And I thought that was beautiful. And then number 2 on the list was organic farmer. So you can see where Elizabeth's heart is. She's also the author of 3 books on Inka Nature Wisdom and a teacher of that tradition for 33 years. This year, she founded the Global Paco School, known by its faculty of 12 Queros Pacos as the Ancient School of Pachamama. Elizabeth has served on the board of the, you'll have to excuse the pronunciation, I think it's Ka'au. Is that right, Elizabeth? Okay, preservation on Big Island, Hawaii, where she has lived for the past 20 years. And she's been deeply involved with the protection of sacred land with the Aloha Ainai movement. Again, apologies if I've pronounced it wrongly. If you've got any questions for Elizabeth, please write them in the chat. And after she's had the opportunity to have a bit of a chat with you, she's very happy to answer questions. So I'm going to hand over to you now, Elizabeth.
Thank you so much, Sirsha, and such an honor and a pleasure to be with you all here today in the heart of the computer, as my beautiful Quero teachers call it. We have this wonderful technology that allows us to reach across the planet and say hello and be together. In that vein, I want to begin traditionally, as we do, sending you tropical nectar from our beautiful live volcano here on the Big Island. To speak about the nature beings, we always ask their permission and blessing first. So I'll do that right now, and I'm going to invite you all to join me. You can say any kind of prayers you want to all of the beautiful Mother Nature that surrounds us, because the only way we're here is with the permission and blessing of Mother Nature, the spirits of the mountains and rivers and lakes, the sky, and the beautiful Pachatata, our Father Milky Way, as they call it. Right. Yatek se virakocha hapuntake Pachamama. Hampui, hampui, hampuichis, hatun apus, hatun yustas, Pachamama. Hampui. We ask your permission and blessing, beautiful beings of nature, Mother Earth, Mother Waters, Father Sky, Father Cosmos, Father Sun, Mother Wind, Mother Stars. We ask your permission and blessing right now, right here in the heart of the computer, with all of our beloved friends across the globe, to speak about your wisdom, to speak about your beauty, to invoke your power to be with us, so that we feel you all together. Urpichai son koyai. Thank you. And thanks for being here. This is a very, very important topic that we're on today. What am I, a white girl named Jenkins, doing here talking about an indigenous tradition? And as we all know, cultural appropriation is a huge topic, as it should be. I must tell you that the reason I'm here is because 33 years ago, I was invited to Peru. And when I went there, I had an absolutely shocking and astonishing meeting, a visionary experience that was also visceral with one of their principal nature beings, a mountain spirit called Apu Ausangate. It's led me on a wild and unprecedented adventure into, into being invited as the only white person, certainly the only woman, invited into a group of all indigenous traditional Quechua Indians. Because I had seen this vision of their sacred being, that was my ticket in. That was my letter of recommendation, however crazy it was. That was the sign that I was to be allowed to join them. And this led me on a wild adventure, Indiana Jones style, of watching the impossible and being witness to many, many things. But it all led to me becoming a bridge person, chakaruna, they call that, chakawarmi, bridge woman, to connect this ancient tradition with our worldview. And it's quite a crash of worldviews. Imagine a quantum physicist, a warm, humanized quantum physicist participating in the world of living energies, as it's called in the Andes, the Kausai Pacha, participating actively, personally, intimately with this world of living energies, of which nature is the most obvious and prevalent living system, right? We know from evolutionary psychology that we have a biophilic instinct. That's an instinct. Our evolution drives us to connect with larger living systems. And what larger living system is more beautiful and pervasive in our world than Mother Nature? So this tradition allowed me to learn how to speak directly with the nature beings, and not only that, the nature beings speak directly back. And that is where the sacred activism comes in, because if we are talking to the rivers and we are talking to the mountains and we're talking to the volcanoes, they are speaking back and we're asking them for things. This is what we do in the tradition. We ask for their healing forces. Beautiful Mother Mountain, come, put your flower hands around my sister, heal her. These are the words we say in our sacred calling to the nature beings. In Hawaiian, it's the same. They call it the kahea. You call out to them and ask them to release their nectars, to release their healing forces, to release their wisdom. And you offer yourself, you offer your breath, your love, your body in service, right? This is why our native peoples know that it's no party to become a bridge person. It's no fun holiday weekend. You can't call yourself a shaman. That's a really difficult and dangerous and a hard path, full of responsibility, full of, you have to be full of integrity and power to be able to take on these jobs that they give us. Okay, so we have a short time here and I want to give you guys a chance to ask questions. So I'm fast forwarding. In 1988 was when I first went to Peru and began to work in this tradition. I lived in San Francisco at the time. I actually moved to Cusco for 3 years. I went back to San Francisco and there I felt the calling. I heard TUTU PEOPLE. The Pele is the healing power of the volcano, the healing force of the lava. That is who TUTU PEOPLE is. She's known as the goddess of the volcano. But I heard her call and I was here in 6 months with a 3-week-old child. And that's when we began our career of the last 20 years of being in an organic farm here on the Big Island. This place, this the power of the nature here is so alive, because like in Peru, the people call Mother Nature. The people have an active, participatory relationship with Mother Nature. People go to Peru because they can feel their soul. That's what they say. And you can see it in their eyes. Their eyes begin to shine as they're there. This is my understanding of over the years, is this is because Mother Nature and humans have a powerful, collaborative, mutual, interactive, sacred symbiosis. There is a sacred connection, and that generates an energy field that is different than in other places. Here in Hawaii, we have the same. We have a living tradition, a powerful living tradition. The chants are still alive. The dances, the hulas, the prayers, the immense power of the tradition of humans interacting with Mother Nature. So when Mother Nature is giving us everything, what choice do we have but to respond when she asks us for something? And this is what happened about 15 years ago now. A group of developers came to our beautiful sacred black sand beach. It's a tiny little gorgeous little beach called Punalu'u. And they came and they saw, ooh, real estate, dollar signs, undeveloped beach. And their plan, we were told, to much of our shock and to our horror, was they wanted to put 200-300 room hotels and $2,000 million homes on our beautiful black sand beach. So we immediately got together. I worked in a group called Ka'u Preservation. Ka'u actually in the ancient language means the breast of Mu, because this area is considered the last, actually right where I am, about 10 minutes from my house, the last two peaks of the ancient continent of Mu, if you like that. It's a geological anomaly because the peaks are older than the lava of Mauna Loa. So it's a bit of a puzzlement to people, an enigma. Love those. So they wanted to build, which is right in front of our most sacred mountains, this development. And there was such an outcry in our population, which is tiny but mighty. And all the people got together. There were people in the same households on the opposite side. There were husbands and wives on the opposite side, but there was such passion behind it, such passion. And we met, we went and gave testimony. You have to drive, where we are, it's very isolated. It's a bit distant. We have to drive for an hour and a half to go to the nearest large city where we could give testimony. So it'd basically be giving up a day to go there. But all of us were so impassioned by this. And in the middle of this thing happening, it was clear. It was clear what we had to do. It was clear that this place could never support all of the, the infrastructure. We had very endangered species with hawksbill turtles. There's only 99 left on the planet that nest on this beach. There's the Hawaiian hoary bat. There's species of lacewing fly that only lives here. We have a very, very delicate ecosystem here on our island. As some of you may already know, there are no defensive plants or animals. There's nothing poisonous here. The entire place says aloha. So it's the opposite of Australia, where everything wants to kill you, right? So here, everything is saying aloha. There's no defense. Everything, anything that bites or stings was brought here. It's not indigenous to here. So 99% of our flora is endemic. A lot of it only exists here in the entire world. So there's a great passion of defending it. One day I was driving to the beach and I just was asking, why is this feeling so powerful? This black sand beach, you go to her and all your troubles go away, looking out into the water. The wind comes, it's a moody little glorious beach. And your troubles just vanish. It happens every time and everyone attests to it. So as I was driving there, I got out, looked out over the ocean there, and I saw in my visionary eye a woman, a beautiful Polynesian woman, stand up out of the bay, about 20 feet tall, with a top knot on her head and long Polynesian hair down to her knees. And she swung her ponytail of hair around, and she said, "This is my place, and I am defending the birth of the next island." And in that moment, it was like, oh, of course, this is where the next island is coming up, right here, 20 miles straight out. And that thought had never occurred to me. But the passion I felt as a mother bear defending her cubs, there's no way I'm going to let anything destructive happen to this beach. It's so sacred, it's so powerful. She said, this is my domain, and I'm guarding the birth of this next island. The scientists call it Loihi. The native Hawaiians call her Kama'ehu, which means the red golden haired child. So she's the next one coming up, the next island being born. So this is the protection of a birthplace. And the wonderful end of that story is that after 2 years of going to all of these meetings and this passion to defend our beautiful sacred beach, TUTU PEOPLE, right, our lava goddess, just began to rumble. And just when the developers seemingly were going to get their permits and things were going to go ahead, a lot of people went to all the heiaus, which are the local temples, and began to pray. And shortly thereafter, about a week later, Pele let out a puff of ash and covered the black sand beach in ash. And poof, the developers were gone the next week. Oh my goodness, it was so amazing. So we know that when we pray, when we speak to nature, nature hears us. She responds. TUTU PEOPLE heard our prayers, and she, in one puff of her breath, did what it took us 2 years to try to accomplish. She did it. It was quite astonishing and wonderful. And that's just one example. Of course, what's happening on Mauna Kea, still happening, but much less intense in the last year because of, in some ways, thanks to COVID, absolutely, actually. So this, the magnificence of what happened on Mauna Kea, all I can tell you is almost everyone who arrived up there, for those of you who may not know, they wanted to build a 30-meter telescope, number 13 of telescopes that they told the native Hawaiians each time, this one will be the last. This will be the last. 12 telescopes before that they still have not cleaned up according to their own contract of what they're supposed to do. And the building of which would desecrate, they literally would slice off the top 30 feet of the most sacred mountain that connects to Wakea, Sky Father, and is a place of only prayer and vision seeking. So this, and it also would damage all our water comes from Wakea, from Mauna Kea. Mauna Wakea is the mountain altar to the sky, is the meaning of the name of the mountain. And this, of course, is not something we were too keen on, having our entire water system polluted by this structure on top of our mountain. And it was just enough is enough is enough. So people gathered in the thousands, 5,000, sometimes more up there, and they fed the mountain. It was 3 prayers a day. It was breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and sometimes snacks. We fed the mountain with prayers, with chants, with hula, with a sacred honoring. And the energy field, the prayer field became so thick and tangible that some of my most stoic friends, when I brought them up there, just entering the area would burst into tears. Everyone could feel it. It's powerful. This is the Aloha Aina movement that's been going on here in Hawaii for the last 40 years. And my dear friend Luana Busby Neff, principal chantress of Pele clan, has been up there with Pua Case and Antipua, Kanakaole, Kanahele, all of these folks, mostly women, interesting. Really, a lot of men as well, of course, but an enormous amount of elder women leading this. It was very, very powerful when the kupuna, the elders, 80 years old, sometimes in wheelchairs, sometimes unable to walk, they said to the youngsters, when the police arrived, when the bulldozers arrived, they said to all of us, they said, no, stand back. We will do what we are supposed to do, what elders do. And they put their bodies in front of the bulldozers. It was so moving to see them and to see the police who were devastated to try and move these elders who were some of their aunties and tutus, their elders. A lot of the police were Native Hawaiian from the island. Yeah. So it was quite a powerful moment. This is our way to see what sacred activism really is, to respect our own elders in our place, to respect our nature beings, to have these two-way conversations. Yeah. I remember one of my friends talking about power animals and how power animals do this and that for you. And I said, hey, what about when they ask you to do stuff for them? You're their power human, don't forget, right? And this is our job. In this times, everyone is called to come forward and stand up. We are nature. We are 99% water by molecular weight. How can we allow these waters to be poisoned? In our tradition, we have 4 parents in the native, the Inka tradition, also in the Hawaiian. You have your human mom and dad, and you have your mother water and your father mountain of where you're born. This personal, intimate, human, warm connection with nature is what makes all the difference. This is who we are as human beings. We are part of nature. We know that, and we need to stand up for her. And sacred activism comes from this deeply personal place. I don't want pollution in my mother water. I had an Italian student who, when he learned his mother water was this very polluted river in Italy, he was devastated. He was like, no, 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 I don't want that to be my mom, right? Sometimes we don't like our parents, the ones that we have chosen in one way or another, but he clearly, shortly saw that this was absolutely perfect, and he led a whole team of people to go and and do a cleanup of this river and got the community activated. This is sacred activism when we feel it so personally, so intimately. These are our mothers and fathers and grandfathers of immense wisdom, our mountains, our rivers, our lakes, our beautiful oceans. If we don't protect them, who's going to do that? It has to be us. And it's, if not purely self-interest, it's just the sensible thing to do, but it's also the heartfelt thing to do. The most important is to do what is nearest to us, each one of us in our communities, to participate. My belief is that all of those prayers fed to our mountain is what has protected us from the majority of COVID. We've had no more than 8 people in the hospital at any time. Right now, we don't have any, or maybe we have 1 person in the hospital. We've had less, I think about 60 deaths in our whole island. And that was a nursing home incident. But honestly, it's very clear to me that the mountain protects us. And when you make offerings, nature will stand up and protect us. In fact, one of our Quero elder women, one of our Nustapakos, said these words. She said, if every human on earth made an offering to Mother Earth, to Pachamama, COVID would disappear. Think about that. What would happen? We would create a different relationship between all of us and Mother Nature. We would give her the respect she's asking for. Yeah. This is the beauty of the message. This is the beauty of being personally and intimately and humanly related with our world, our natural world. So the last thing I want to say is, when we go and search for native traditions, for indigenous wisdom, we really have to do it with an understanding of the whole feeling of cultural appropriation. We have to be in integrity. This is not always easy. First of all, sometimes we're not even aware of the toes we're stepping on. It's very clear from my interactions with my indigenous friends that, you know, using these terms, calling yourself a shaman, using this word to identify yourself when you haven't also shared the pain and suffering that that culture has gone through, right? This is the definition of cultural appropriation. We want to just kind of skim off the goodies, you know, think that this is some kind of easy thing for us to just take without living through the pain of the people. My elders in Peru experienced 500 years of oppression under the Spanish rule. But luckily, they were isolated so far up in the mountains that they had a bit of a degree of freedom in maintaining their cultural patterns at the same time as they were treated like slaves by the Spanish landowners, even way up there in the high mountain. But they had enough independence to maintain themselves. So if we work in a native tradition, it behooves us to be giving back in some way. This is the law of Aini. It's the one law in the Andean tradition, sacred reciprocity. Yeah, most simply witnessed by the act of breathing. We breathe in the oxygen made for us by nature, and we breathe out our carbon dioxide. So next time you breathe in all the love from nature, make sure you breathe back out your blessing and your love back. And also, if you work in a tradition or you teach it, find a way to give back to that community that you received from. One of the other blessings of COVID here is that we were able to open a whole online school. We have all our Quero Pacos in Cusco with no work, and opening a school, our Global Paco School, which is fabulous, teaching us to be chakaruna, teaching us. For years, I thought that was a cultural bridge. I only recently learned, no, our school is to teach humans to be a bridge to nature. And that is what we're doing in our school. We're becoming human bridges to Mother Nature, to speak for her and to her and with her and about her to the rest of the world, to be intimately and personally related and connected. All right. So please, and in doing that, we're able to support this whole community, because one of our Quero Pacos supports another 40 people in their family. So this is the beauty of being able to have calls over Zoom with indigenous people that only speak Quechua, way up on a mountain. It's incredible, really. So I'm so grateful to be here. I want to open it up to some questions, if there are.
Yeah, people are really interested to find out more about the school. How to get in touch,
Yeah. Is it all right to put it in the chat? Is that something that's all right to do, or?
I guess so, if you want to. Yeah, just pop it there.
I can type it in, and there's yeah. Let's see. So Paco is an initiate in the Andean tradition, if you're wondering what the heck that word means. So Global Paco School, there it is. That should do it. So the beauty of it is that we're able to give back in a very tangible way.
Okay. Right. So have we got any questions? I'm just looking through the chat at the moment. What's this one? Oh, yes, you've been asked, can you answer verbally as well as people? Because not everyone's got chat. I forget we're streaming live as well, Elizabeth. So could you just say what the link is, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. It's my name. It's elizabethbjenkins.com. And then if you go to that website, then you can just click on the programs and you'll see the Global Paco School. elizabethbjenkins.com. Be like bacon.
Not a rude word then. Somebody, so Becky Rogers has asked, could you explain a little bit more about Bridge Woman? I guess that's what you...
Absolutely. Yes. In our culture, in the West, we've all grown up learning everything through our heads, through our brains, what the Inca will call yachai knowledge. So if we don't read it in a book, it's not true. We have to learn about things through our brain. In the Andean tradition and with our school, we learn about things through our bubble, through our living energy field that surrounds the body. They call it the pokpo in Quechua. If you can imagine, there's zillions of Quechua words that describe human living energy experiences and how we connect. The songho is not the meat organ of the heart, but it's literally the living energy center that is the heart. So, and we have eyes in our body that connect us directly to nature. So this is part of the formulating of a bridge woman or man, Paco, to connect us directly, learn how to call the beings of nature, learn how to receive the messages from them directly, learn how to make offerings to them the traditional way and in our sort of modern evolutionary way, because during COVID, a lot of us, you don't have access. You have access to what's in the backyard, and that's how we've been doing it. It's magnificent, the glory and beauty that people put into their offerings. This is what it means. Excuse me.
Okay, so another question. Hawaiian culture and Andean culture, is nature and nature teachings and communications what unites those two different traditions? In fact, does it, in your experience, unite all nature wisdom traditions?
Well, I certainly can't speak about all nature traditions, and certainly I know the most about the Inka tradition, and I would say my knowledge is this after 30 years, because it is so vast and so deep. My understanding of the Hawaiian tradition is only 20 years worth, and again, a tiny bit of the vastness that's there. Certainly everything that connects it is this human desire to honor nature. In the Hawaiian tradition, they have magnificent dances. The Kahiko Hula, which is the ancient style of hula. It's not the thing, you know, that you see in cartoons. It's a body prayer to Mother Nature in all her forms. A lot of the way that the hula platforms are built, it's all about aligning with the forces of nature, aligning humanity with the forces of nature through the heiaus that are geomantically located on the islands, through the way that all of the land divisions are made. Here they're called the ahupua'a, which are the different land divisions through which the people shared all of the resources from the mountain to the sea. So these land divisions, of course, follow the waterways, the way that the watersheds that flow down. So this is all part of how these two cultures are so united. It's the same in the Inca tradition. They were masters of the gathering and redistribution of resources. And both these traditions, both Hawaii and the Inca, had a no market economy. If you can imagine, not even barter. Whatever you had, you gave, and then you would receive what everyone else had. There was no monetary system, no shopping. Can we imagine that? I love it, because I personally hate shopping. But it's a beautiful, it's a gifting culture. You gift what you have and you receive what everyone else has, and everyone's fine. You support each other in that way. So, and the rest, yeah.
Sorry, love. I was just going to say for everybody who's kind of watching, I'm sure people, we all want to be involved. That's why we're here. That's why we're at this conference. And what would you give as one tip to the people who are watching of something that they can do today?
Go outside in your yard. Ask nature what she would like of you. Ask her what you can do for her. And then believe what you receive. Yeah. Believe what you receive. Yeah. That's it.
Beautiful.
Certainly that happened to me in England. My name is Jenkins. My family is Welsh. Yeah. And it's why did I go to Peru, and why was Inca my connection? Who knows the answer to that? But going also to Anglesey, I had a very, very powerful experiences, and was asked to provide healing to the land in a way that brought about a giant ceremony that we did together quite a while ago. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's the thing. Listen, ask, what can I do? Listen really well, and then believe what you receive and follow it up. Yeah.
Fantastic. So are there any more questions? Any more questions from anybody? There has been a little bit of controversy, I have to say, on the chat about using the shamanism. It seems to be is a very controversial word at the moment. Some people, I don't think, particularly enjoying what you said about shamanism, but it's like we had a speaker earlier and said that we have to. In this world, we have to find ways of working with different ideas and different opinions, because in the end, it's all about Mother Earth, and it's not about our intellects or our feelings about things, really, is it?
Well, I think it's just a matter of respect. If you, and I don't think it's the word necessarily shamanism, but I think it's more in the native people that I've personally spoken to. What is offensive if someone calls themselves a shaman? That's not from their culture. That's the main thing. And so I think it's just something for us to be aware of. Yeah. Because in that way of cultural appropriation, yeah, to really respect and have a way to give back to the people you've learned from. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm. And also, if we're going to share the beauty of their culture, to also share their suffering. So participate, when in things like places like Standing Rock, or in our defense of our Mauna Kea. That's one way, I think. But everyone has to find their own way. So I'm only giving my personal experience and opinion, and that's all it is. So we all have our own way to be with it and feel right about it. But let's listen to our indigenous brothers and sisters and ask them, what do they want?
That was interesting earlier, because we had Jim Greywolf Petruzzi on, and they had the young people on from Pine Ridge Reserve, and they made a request, and I think it's really kind of appropriate, that we don't look down on them, that we don't look up at them, that we actually communicate with them. And I thought that kind of put it in very succinctly and in a way that we can understand.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Okay, Elizabeth. Okay, well, I have to say it's been a total delight to listen to your stories, and I love you. You're a beautiful woman. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here and taking the time, and even with the bed hair. She just had to get out of bed so early. Okay, Elizabeth.
Aloha, well, lots of
love. Aloha. Mwah, mwah, mwah.